All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Martin Hernandez. I'm the Professional Development Programs Associate with the Los Angeles County Department of Arts and Culture, and it is an honor to welcome you to today's 2021 Virtual Supervisor Orientation for the 2021 Arts Internship Program. Before we get started, I'm going to start with the land acknowledgement, so please feel free to follow along on the screen if you'd like. The Los Angeles County Department of Arts and Culture recognize and acknowledge the first people of this ancestral and unceded territory. With respect to their elders, past and present, and future generations, we recognize the Gabrieleño Tangva and Fernandeño Tataviam, who are still here, and honor with gratitude the land itself and those who have stewarded it throughout the generations. We honor and respect the many indigenous peoples still connected to this land on which we gather, and we commit our work in service to and in alignment with these values. Thank you. So before we get started, unfortunately, we had some guests who were not able to join us today, and so they have recorded some welcome remarks. And so we're going to hear from Joan Weinstein, the director of the Getty Foundation, as well as Kristen Sakota, the director of the Los Angeles County Department of Arts and Culture.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Joan Weinstein, director of the Getty Foundation, and I'm delighted that you can be here with us today, even if it's only on Zoom. I long for the day that we'll all be together again at the Getty Center for Supervisor Orientation. We're meeting once again in the very long shadow of the COVID-19 pandemic, which has had a devastating impact on our communities and on our arts organizations, large and small. I suspect that all of you have been challenged this year, both professionally and personally. And that's why we're even more grateful that you're here with us today, still giving of your time. These internships can be life-changing, leading to a lifelong commitment to the arts for a young person, whether as a career, as an avid consumer of the arts, or as an arts advocate. It is the 29th year of the Getty Merrow internship program, and I want to pay tribute to Deborah Merrow, after whom the program is named. It is Deborah who created this internship program almost 30 years ago. And over the years, we've supported more than 3,300 internships at over 150 museums and visual arts organizations. We're enormously proud of the program, and we're proud of our enduring partnership with the County Department of Arts and Culture. We've worked together on these programs for almost 20 years now. We've surveyed interns many times over the years, and we know that paid internships are crucial to attracting diverse undergraduates to this program. We also know, though, that you, the supervisors, are really the secret sauce. And I want to make space to recognize all of you, the mentors, who give so much of yourselves to make these internships successful. And the fact that you're doing so in one of the most challenging periods in our history is even more remarkable. You've shown amazing flexibility and resiliency this last year. Some of you had to postpone your internships. Others are now pros at conducting virtual online internships. Some of you had hybrid summers, part in person, part online, and some will hopefully have that again this year. Some of you are brand new to the program, and we understand the challenges for all of you, and we're here to help. Which is the perfect segue to thanking Selene Preciado and Martina Hernandez for their leadership of these two internship programs, and for their hard work in putting together the program for today and next Monday, as well as the programs for the interns throughout the summer. They're an amazing team, and I know that you will benefit personally and professionally from the programs they've organized today and next Monday. I'm particularly grateful to alumni from the program who, in a recent survey, encouraged us to strengthen training for supervisors in culturally responsive mentoring and in offering anti-racism training. in which interns and supervisors can learn together. So thank you for supporting these college students as they learn about careers in the arts at a moment of profound change. And thank you for supporting one another. LA is an amazing arts community, and we want it to return stronger and more equitable into the future. Your work with these young professionals is an important part of this future. Stay safe, get vaccinated, and I hope to see you in person very soon.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Kristen Sakota, Director of the Los Angeles County Department of Arts and Culture. I want to start by thanking Angie, Martine, and Celine for putting together this incredible event for us today and this incredible program. This is the 21st year of the LA County Arts Internship Program, and we remain incredibly proud of this successful public-private partnership where, together with the Getty Foundation, we are the largest paid internship program in the arts in the United States. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that this year's program looks different than we used to, as it did in 2020, due to the ongoing impacts of the pandemic and all the ways we've had to pivot, adjust, and change to be flexible and to be able to support you and support our students. There are some of you who are joining us again that were with us in 2020 who powered through it, and we want to thank you for your flexibility, your grace, and your commitment to the interns. There are also some who maybe had to make a really challenging decision last year to forego internships, and we are excited to welcome you back. I, of course, want to acknowledge that there also may be some who are totally new to the program. And for you, I want to welcome you for the first time and say that we look forward to building a long partnership with you as well. At its core, this program is about creating pathways to LA's arts and creative economy for the talent and the leaders of tomorrow. Now, we do this by providing opportunities for students to hone skills, build their networks, and of course, hopefully have some fun along the way. And we do that through a paid opportunity because we know that that is a critical part of leveling the playing field. And it's especially important right now with the pandemic, where so many of our communities and our young folks have high unemployment numbers and even had disruption in their college experience. As many of you may know, this program is part of the Cultural Equity and Inclusion Initiative for a community college expansion. And I'm excited to share that back in 2018, this program expanded, starting at 137 student intern positions at that time, growing to 179. And then later over the years, grew to the amount today where we are so proud to have 228 positions that we can offer to students through the program this year. And along the way, we have reserved spots for those coming from community colleges. And that's because cultural equity is an integral and essential component of this program. We know how crucial it is to develop the talent and the leadership of tomorrow and to expand access to careers in the arts. And that's why we continue to build our relationships with you and with the community colleges. Now, that's also why we're excited to be doing this program and that we're grateful to the LA County Board of Supervisors for their leadership and their continuing support and investment in this program, including restoring budget cuts from the pandemic in September 2020 and building us up over the last 2 decades. This program would also not be possible without our partners at the Getty Foundation. It's due to their generosity that we have the educational components like the Virtual Arts Summit and the peer group leaders and mentorship opportunities that happen throughout the program. So thank you to our colleagues at the Getty as well. Now, of course, for the interns, it's not only about getting a paycheck, it's about learning things, and it's about having access to mentors and colleagues like you. And so we're proud to be able to offer professional development skills that support you along the way in your care for the internships, since you are such an integral component of the program as well. Providing professional development opportunities for these students is, of course, a critical part of the program. So we're excited that this allows us the chance to work closely with you. We also know that this is a moment where we can think intentionally and critically about cultural equity and inclusion and access, and what those look like in practice in our organizations as we provide support to students, many of whom are coming from communities that faced historic disinvestment or underrepresentation in our field, among others. So it is my hope that you will enter these spaces, be they virtual or otherwise, with an open mind and embracing diversity and thinking about how you can best support our incoming class. Now, many of you might know that I spent more than a decade as an attorney, a practicing attorney in this field. And so because of that, sometimes people think, well, attorneys usually tell us things we can't do. But in the spirit of action, a couple of things we can do. We can set goals. We can set concrete ways that we will expand and reach a diverse candidate pool for ourselves. We can, in our organizations, hold ourselves accountable with implicit bias or other kinds of trainings to ensure an open and successful and inclusive space. We can also cultivate a culture of inclusion, and we can provide professional development opportunities to retain and recruit a wonderful staff. Now, we are counting on all of you to share so much of your learnings and hopefully bring a great experience to our interns this year. So I wish you all the best. I thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to us all having a safe and successful year. Thanks so much. Have a good one. All the best.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. And thank you to Kristen and Joan for putting those remarks together to help welcome everybody today. So a little bit of a disclaimer. I have a lot of information to cover in a very short amount of time. We have a very important date with the Getty at 11 o'clock, where we will be transitioning over into their Zoom. So I am going to be moving rather quickly through our agenda today. What I do want to say is we are going to be asking folks to submit questions via the chat function today. So at the Q&A section at the end of my presentation, I will get to as many questions as I possibly can. And in the event that I don't answer your question, please feel free to email me at the end of the presentation and I will be happy to get back to you. So 11 o'clock is where we are going to be transitioning over to the Getty Zoom to be doing the rest of our agenda for to complete the agenda for the rest of the day. And so we'll talk a little bit more about instructions for that when we get to it. So I'm going to start with a little bit about overview and awards. And actually, Kristen and Joan did such a great job of explaining that in the videos. I don't really have to say much, but this program, our program is actually entering its 21st year, which is so exciting. And the Getty program predates ours by a handful of years. And we actually credit them with kind of giving birth to our program. The LA County Board of Supervisors at the time, 21 years ago, said, the Getty program is so wonderful. They're supporting visual arts institutions and museums. What about the other disciplines? Can we create a program that will give internships to other artistic disciplines? And thus our program was born. And one of the things that I really love about this program is that obviously for a student that is really looking to get their foot through the door in terms of arts nonprofits administration in LA County, this is the program for them, right? They're going to learn a ton. They're going to be able to get their feet wet and really understand what it takes to run a nonprofit in LA County. But it's actually not our sole focus. We think a lot about transferable skills in this program, and we believe that students who participate in this program can take what they learn to a myriad of different careers and employment opportunities, and also just become more engaged in the arts and culture landscape in Los Angeles, whether that's becoming a board member or a volunteer of an organization, or even just patroning our arts organizations. All of those things are really important for us in this program, and we hope our interns get something out of that as part of their participation in this program. Again, as Kristen mentioned, this program has been steadily growing, and we are so happy to be able to offer 228 positions this year. Obviously, 2020 was supposed to be our first year of 228 positions. The COVID-19 pandemic had other plans for us in mind, unfortunately. But I do want to note that even in the face of the pandemic, we had 163 internships launched last year in 2020, and that is all due to the tenacity and the dedication dedication and the heart of our grantee organizations. That's you all for making that happen. So we're really excited for 2021 to get 228 positions out the door, which is a whopping $1.5 million. We've been inching steadily towards that amount for the past couple years, and super excited to be crossing that threshold this year. And a lot of that has to do with the increase of administrative stipends to organizations, which I'm going to be talking about later. So the boards of supervisors really love this program, really understand its importance in our field and in our community, and have continued to invest in it year after year, which we are extremely grateful for as part of this partnership. So to talk about grant awards, all grant awards this year range from anywhere between $6,000 to $6,750 per internship. And that's because all interns, the expectation is that all interns are paid $15 an hour for a total of $6,000. Of course, that will be a little bit less minus payroll taxes, but $15 an hour is the hourly rate for all interns, no matter what other individuals within your organization may be receiving. $15 is the minimum for our interns. As I mentioned a second ago on that previous slide, part of the reason our budget this year, or our grant award total, is $1.5 million is we actually increased the number of organizations that are eligible for the administrative stipend. So previously, organizations had to have budgets of under $500,000 in order to qualify for the administrative stipend. Because of the coronavirus pandemic, and we know the financial difficulties that many of our grantee organizations are in, we bumped that threshold up to with organizations with budgets under $1 million. So we actually have quite a few organizations receiving administrative stipends this year that weren't receiving it in the past. And that administrative stipend per internship is to offset administrative costs of having an intern. Things like payroll taxes and employer taxes, parking reimbursement, mileage in the event that that's something that your intern will be doing, and equipment. We'll talk more about that later, but just know that, again, if your organization was awarded the $750 administrative stipend, you can use that to help offset some of these administrative costs as a result of hosting the intern. It's not expected to go directly into the intern's hands outside of parking reimbursement and mileage. Your organization can use it for whatever they see fit in terms of bringing the intern on. So to move from grant amounts to talk a little bit about eligibility and recruitment, this is because a lot of the times the folks I'm talking to in this meeting are the supervisors, maybe the ones who are actually doing the hiring. So I want to make sure that we're being very, very clear about what makes a student eligible to participate in this program. And we're also going to go over some things that would make them ineligible. So this program is specifically geared for undergraduate students, students who have not yet received a degree from a post-secondary institution. And so as part of that, an intern candidate must be currently enrolled in undergraduates at either a 4-year or community college. And we consider currently enrolled to be taking at least one class at the time of application to your organization. So it used to be full-time requirement, then we changed it to part-time. Now we're just looking for one class enrollment. And that's because we know that students and their schedules can take a number of different forms. And so we just want to make sure that this is open to as many students as possible. In addition to being currently enrolled, they must either reside in or attend school in LA County. And so what that means is, like, let's say I am a resident of Los Angeles County, but I go to school in New York. I am eligible because I'm a resident of LA County. The opposite is true. Let's say that I'm a resident of New York, but I attend school at USC or UCLA or PCC, then I am eligible because I attend school within LA County. So it's one or the other for currently enrolled students. They're either residing in LA County or they go to school in LA County. A lot of the times it's both, and that's great. They get 2 check marks. That's wonderful. I do want to note that in the era of COVID, their physical location does not matter as long as they can prove residence or enrollment. So for example, we had a student who is a USC student who's calls Atlanta, Georgia home. And because of the COVID-19 pandemic, he was completing his schooling in Atlanta, Georgia through USC, and he was eligible for the program because he was enrolled at USC, even though he was not physically located in Los Angeles. So I know that it's a little bit tricky, but we're trying to make it as clear as possible, which is that ultimately, if they can prove that they are enrolled in at least one class at a school in LA County, within LA County, or they are residing in LA County, then they are eligible for the program. So COVID actually doesn't shift all that much other in terms of eligibility, other than the fact that their physical location does not necessarily matter. This program is also open to what we call recent graduates, and those are students who are graduating between May 1st of 2021 and December 21st of 2021. If a student is graduating anywhere within that window, they are also eligible, and we'll talk more about what that looks like in a second. And I know we have some really savvy organizations every year that specifically look for those folks because they want to hire. Maybe they have some open positions, and that's totally fine as long as they graduate between May 21st and December 21st of 2021. Some things that would make a student ineligible, even if they meet all of the eligibility requirements that I just named, they cannot have a prior degree. So unfortunately, we know that students sometimes go back to school. They have a master's, they have a bachelor's in one thing, and they return to school. Unfortunately, this program is, like I mentioned, really geared towards undergraduate students who are completing their degree for the first time. So they should not, if they have already gotten a degree, then they are not eligible. They can also not be a current or previous staff member or a relative of a staff or board member of your organization. Those interns can apply to other organizations, encourage them to, but we will be asking you all to ensure that the person that you're onboarding does not have that kind of relationship with your organization, because we want them to apply somewhere else. An intern may not have previously participated in this program as well. So, we do have folks that will do our program and then they'll go to the Getty's program or vice versa. That's fine, but they are not allowed to participate in this program more than once. This ensures that we're able to offer these opportunities to a high number of interns every single year. We will be verifying these pieces, and I'll talk more about it in a second, but it's very important that you ask this during the interviews. It saves everybody time. It saves the interns time, it saves you time, and it saves me time by making sure that you're not submitting an intern that is ineligible for some of these other reasons. So it's a good idea to ask about this before you make any offers, just to give the intern a chance to explain. Internships will be launching on our website at the beginning of each month, starting in April through August of 2021, according to the date you selected as part of your application. Please do not begin recruitment until your position is launched. The first batch of positions went up last Thursday on April 1st, and unfortunately, it seems a number of grantee organizations maybe missed that part of the application, or it was submitted in October, maybe they forgot. So I got some panicked emails asking, where is my position? It's not live on the website. If you're unclear about when your application is going to be posted to the website, please check your application in SurveyMonkey Apply. You selected it as part of your application date. And unfortunately, my capacity to make changes to that at this point in the game is very minimal, excuse me. So if you're unclear about when between April and August your position will be going live, please check your application. It's again, you selected it as part of it. You must budget time for recruitment. We post things on our website. We will be posting things on LA Culture Net, but it is the responsibility of the organization to do your own recruitment and hiring. So start thinking about, if you haven't already, who in your network works with students, who in your network might be connected to colleges. Have you reached out to former interns? Do they know people that might be interested that they could refer to your program? You have to budget that time into this process. And what I can tell you is the sentiment from 2020, given our current state of the world and the virtual format, is that recruitment takes a lot longer now than it does in a normal year, which can already be a pretty long timeline. In the event that you find a really stellar candidate that your organization chooses not to move forward with, please feel free to send that resume to me, and I will do my best to kind of forward that to organizations in need. A lot of times an organization will say, this person was really great, but we got our first choice. So, hey, Martine, here's this person's really stellar resume. And then sometimes I'll have organizations ask me if we've received any of those things. So please feel free to forward those my way. So just keep that in mind. Again, with COVID, this can take a little bit longer. So make sure that you're budgeting time to make that happen. Once you've selected your intern candidate, your first step is to submit your 90% invoice. Now, I just want to acknowledge that most people have, we are about 50%, 90% invoice submission rate so far. You can go ahead and submit your 90% invoice if you haven't already. So you should have received instructions from me when you received your executed contract on how to submit your 90% invoice through SurveyMonkey Apply. There are a couple of organizations, I want to say 4, that have not received executed contracts. So you have not received those instructions yet. But for everybody else, go ahead and invoice now. Even if your internship is not launching until August, we want you to go ahead and invoice so that we can process those payments and get that money to you as soon as possible. All of your interns need to be approved by the county before they can be hired by your organization. And you're going to be doing that using SurveyMonkey Apply, the internship selection form. Again, I will be sending detailed instructions. We're going to go through some pieces of it in just a minute, but you will receive detailed instructions from me about how to submit that internship selection form in SurveyMonkey Apply. That's what tells me, okay, this organization has selected their intern, and I get to go in and double check and make sure that they're actually eligible for the program. In addition to the intern's contact information as part of that form, you're going to be asked to upload a copy of the intern's driver's license or ID to verify residency, and documentation of enrollment in classes. Once you submit the internship selection form in SurveyMonkey Apply, I have 3 business days to get into the system, review that form, and get back to you with either the approval or any questions that I have. So just know that there is a little bit of a lag time from the time that you submit that form to the time that I will actually be able to look at it, double check all of the information, and approve your intern. So as soon as your position is posted on our website, that's when you can begin recruitment. And after that position is posted on our website, you are able to start submitting your internship selection form based off of your hiring timeline. However quickly you want to move, go ahead and submit that internship selection form when you're ready. And I have 3 business days to take a look at it. The internship selection form will allow you to finalize a number of different things. First and foremost, the primary and secondary supervisors. We understand that you submitted this application in October of 2020, so a lot of things could have changed in terms of who was supposed to be the supervisor and some of these other informations. This is where you will be solidifying it and finalizing it for me so that I know who is actually supervising the intern. Similarly, this is where you will solidify the start and end dates of that internship. So many of you said, back in October, well, we wanted this internship to start in June and end in August, just as an example. Maybe there's a delay with your hiring and you're not actually getting the intern hired until July. So that end date is going to have to be pushed to September, let's just say, as an example. This is where you're solidifying it in the internship selection form, in addition to the number of hours your intern will work per week. So please be as accurate as possible in this internship selection form. You should be filling this out after you've had a discussion with the intern about what that schedule might look like, what they can commit to, what their school schedule is going to look like, all of those things, because that intern selection form is going to dictate to me a number of other programmatic things. So it's really important that that form is up to date and accurate based off of your discussion with the interns. A note on documents, and I'm going to go over this because it is the hardest part every year when we're talking about intern selection forms. I end up having to send multiple dozens back to organizations because they are not correct or they don't give us the information that they need. So I wanted to pull this out to discuss it in this presentation. When I talk about proof of enrollment, we are looking for any number of things. It can be an official or unofficial transcript, a letter from the school's registrar, or a printout or screenshot of coursework from the online school portal. And most commonly, that's what I'm getting, is a screenshot of online portal, which is fine. As long as I get one of those documents, in order for it to be valid and current, this is what we're looking for. Any document must contain a valid and current date, meaning it should reflect one of the following semesters or quarters: spring 2021, summer 2021, or fall 2021. So if I'm looking at a transcript and I'm looking for current enrollment, like that a student is actually taking classes, then it needs to be in one of these 3 semesters. If it's something outside of one of those semesters, then that is not considered current enrollment. And I will have to follow up with you and say, I need another piece of paper, I need another documentation, or, and if the intern cannot provide that, then they are not eligible and you'll need to go to another candidate. So I'm pulling this out now because I know it can be very tricky in the back and forth with interns, and not, no one is, our school counselors that are used to looking at these documents. So tell the interns when you are working with them, when you're interviewing them, I'm going to need to see documentation that you are enrolled in at least one class in spring, summer, or fall of 2021. And that should hopefully kind of help them figure out what to give you. For graduating students, as I mentioned, who are also eligible for this program, I do need to see most of the time this is a transcript that shows their graduation date. And of course, that needs to be between May 1st of 2021 and December 1st of 2021. If that transcript has a graduation date outside of that window, then it's not a valid document, and that student will not be eligible to participate in the program. Errors in this documentation is the #1 cause of delay for an intern starting on time. And what has a tendency to happen is that you folks are submitting interns for approval like a day or two before they hope the intern will actually be able to start. Maybe that can work if all of the documentation is okay and I can hit the green light and send them your way. But if there's an error in any of this, your intern is not going to be able to get approved until I see the documentation that I need. So it's very important that you're submitting this correctly. And again, there are instructions on all of the forms that detail this, that are going to ask you to provide this same information. So, put it in the back of your mind now, and just remember that we will be asking for this when it comes down to getting the intern approved. Okay, so once the intern is approved, you will be emailed the intern organization agreement form. So this is separate: intern selection form first, then the intern organization agreement form. And this form is extremely important because it documents the agreed upon work schedule, agreed upon start and end dates, payment schedule, intern closeout responsibilities, as well as an attestation that the intern is not a past staff member or a relative of a staff or board member. And I also want to point out that this form, which really acts as a contract between you and the intern, also has its emergency contact information. Unfortunately, we had an organization last year that had an emergency situation with their intern. And obviously in this virtual format, it's much more difficult to figure out how to get a hold of somebody or how to get a hold of emergency contacts in the event that somebody is non-responsive to emails or to Zoom chats or things like that. So this form is essential. It's mandatory. You must fill it out with your intern, and you must send it to us within 3 days of the intern's first day of work. So we're really looking to make sure that you have that filled out and all of the sections are filled out so that that acts as that contract between you and the intern. The earliest any intern can begin work is May 31st, 2021. So the majority of grantee organizations are having their positions launch on April 1st and May 3rd. Those are kind of the two biggest buckets out of the 5 months that we're doing launches. Any intern that's hired between now and May 31st cannot start work until May 31st. That's pretty standard. That's kind of what the program has always been. So even though the program is now longer than a summer program, we're going longer than that. The earliest that they can start is May 31st. So if I approve your intern, let's say you submit somebody the end of this week, I approve them next week, they are not starting until May 31st. Please make sure that you're clear about that with your interns. Requirements and reporting. Workspace requirements. Given the state of the COVID-19 pandemic, all internships will continue to be remote. As such, the organization must provide access to any necessarily professional equipment, laptop, phones, software, etc. As I mentioned, a lot more organizations this year were qualified for the administrative stipend, the $750 that comes per internship for organizations but with budgets under $1 million. That is a great place to pull money from, to buy a laptop, to buy whatever kind of phone headset equipment an intern might need. The expectation is that your organization is providing that to them as part of the internship. Now, what happens if you have an intern that is, as I mentioned earlier, let's say in New Orleans or in Atlanta, for example? Chances are they probably have their own laptop. They'd rather just use their own equipment. That is fine, but you should have conversations with them about that prior to them using that equipment, and be really clear what will happen with liability should something happen to that laptop or their personal equipment while they're on the job. So make sure that if an intern is really insisting that they want to use their own equipment, that's fine, but then have that conversation with them about liability and what might happen to the equipment in the event that there is an accident. While the intern is working, make sure that there is a supervisor available to the intern during their work hours. I actually just finished reading all of the surveys for the 2020 program, and we did have quite a few interns saying that they were completing hours in the evening or on weekends where their supervisors were not necessarily accessible via Zoom or Google Chats or whatever. The best practice is to make sure that a supervisor is on site or working, not on site, but working at the same time as the intern, so that if they have any questions or if there are any concerns or if something comes up, that a member of your staff is available to them. Providing regular check-ins to the intern is also essential, at least once a week. But the general consensus from 2020 is that the more you can meet with your interns, the better. Doesn't have to be an hour every single day, but maybe it's 5 minutes at the start of their work shift, so that they can kind of flesh out any questions that they might have or anything like that. But just make sure that you are kind of talking to them and checking in with them. And it's hard to build up an interpersonal relationship with them in this virtual environment. We know that. So check-ins can also just be about, how are you doing? How are you feeling? And obviously we have some professional development planned for you all later this morning, as well as next week, to kind of talk through some better, some other ways about doing that. But make sure that you have regular check-ins scheduled with your intern for this. In the event that on-site work becomes safe for interns, our department will issue a guidance to all grantees about how to proceed. I know that everything is moving very quickly in LA County, and we are working just as diligently as I'm sure you all are to understand all of the new guidance and all of the new reopenings as they are coming. So in the event that that changes, we will issue a guidance to all of our grantees, and we thank you in advance for your flexibility and commit to being just as flexible with you all as we will need to be, as you all will need to be with us. And, in 2020, at least with COVID, now it's a known quantity. This program, we went into lockdown 3 weeks before this event was supposed to happen last year in 2020. And so obviously there was a lot of last minute things that needed to happen. So we will let you all know about guidance for bringing interns on site as soon as we possibly can. And again, thank you in advance for your flexibility. All interns are to work 400 hours between May 31st and March 1st, 2022. It is up to the organization and the intern to determine the work schedule, as well as any schedule changes that may need to be made. That includes interns returning to school. Maybe the organization, the intern will need to shift their hours. So make sure that you're being clear about that. I would suggest documenting it on the intern organization agreement form, because again, that can act as a contract with you all to make sure that the intern is, keeping up to what they agreed upon. So make sure that you're talking about that. Hey, are you going back to school in the fall? What is that going to do for your schedule? Do we need to change it? Have those conversations with your interns. Depending on the number of hours worked per week, internships will be 10 to 27 weeks long. The minimum hours an intern can work per week is 15 hours per week. So make sure that the intern is not working any less than 15 hours per week. Obviously, they can work as much as full time. So 40 hours a week, which would be 10 weeks. It's up to you and the intern to kind of make sure that that schedule is what you're agreed upon. Make sure that the internship selection form has that clearly laid out for me, and make sure the intern organization agreement form has that clearly documented as the contract between the two parties. Follow your organization's policy regarding holiday pay. It used to just be the 4th of July that we had to worry about, but now obviously if your intern is working through December, maybe that's the Christmas or New Year's holiday. So just follow your organization's policy. If they're a full-time intern, treat them like a full-time employee. If they're a part-time intern, then treat them like a part-time employee. Follow your organization's guidelines on that. And then the educational components, which I'm going to talk about in just a couple of slides, count as part of your intern hours. So if they're attending those, they are supposed to get paid as part of that internship. It is the responsibility of the organization to ensure that the intern is on track to complete their hours by March 1st of 2022. No extensions will be given. In the event that your intern is only going to be able to hit 300 hours, let's just say, as of March 1st, 2022, you will need to explain to their intern that their internship is going to be cut short by 100 hours, and your organization will need to refund the remaining money back to us at the county. So again, we are telling you this now to be as clear as possible now, so that we don't have any issues come March of next year. This is many, many months for you all to make this internship happen. So please be on top of the hours that they've worked, as well as the hours that they will be able to work by March 1st. That's going to be essential. That is the organization's responsibility to make sure that the intern is on track for that. In terms of reporting requirements, for interns, we have a pre-program evaluation and a post-program evaluation. And remember I said earlier that the internship selection form is what I'm going to be using to generate some of these things. So let's say that you say that your intern is going to finish in December, then I know at the beginning of December, I need to send them the post-program evaluation. So again, make sure that that information is correct, their start and end date, so that I know. For supervisors, we need a post-program evaluation and then the 10% invoice. So again, at the end of if you say that your internship is going to end in December, the intern will get the post-program evaluation from me. The supervisor will get the post-program evaluation from me, as well as the reminder for the 10% invoice. Failure to submit any of these surveys could result in a delay of your final 10% invoice. We do need those surveys to come in order for us to be able to process your 10% invoice. So please make sure that you are completing the surveys on time. And honestly, y'all, that is one of the most time-consuming pieces of this entire program, is chasing interns and supervisors down for surveys. I have to send probably about 30 emails, individual emails to people a month in order to get all of these surveys taken care of. So it was very, very helpful to us as staff if you can make sure that both your intern and your supervisors are on top of these surveys. As I mentioned, educational components, we have two types. The first is the Art Summit. It's going to be about a 3-hour virtual event in the fall, sometime in September or October. We'll have some performances and speakers, as well as a chance for interns to connect. You can see the beautiful poster that we created for Art Summit 2020 there on the left with keynote speaker D Smoke, who was fabulous. And so we hope that it's a really great event for the interns. And then peer groups are virtual events that will be happening once or twice a month, starting in July and culminating in February. Interns and supervisors will get emailed at the beginning of each month with details and registration links about how to sign up for those events if they're interested. We have some really wonderful peer group leaders who are going to be leading that. Many of those folks are on this chat right now. So shout out to my peer group leaders. I'm going to hype you up in a second. These are opportunities for panels, resume workshops, networking. They have a lot of different things planned in the coming months, and we're really excited about it. We can't make attendance mandatory for any of these things because we know that interns will have school and other commitments, but please encourage your interns to join these events if they're able to, specifically Art Summit. We spend a lot of time planning these things and a lot of resources, and we feel like they're a really great opportunity for interns. So please encourage them to attend if they're able to. And as a reminder, if they attend these events, then they are paid as part of the intern's hours. So it would count as if they were working their regular work hours to attend these events. Like I said, I was going to shout out my peer group leaders. Thank you to these 9 wonderful individuals who are tried and true virtual peer group leader veterans. They were with us through the 2020 program cycle, and we had to recalibrate many things in 2020. And so we're really, really looking forward to these offerings next year. Again, interns and supervisors, you'll receive emails from me at the beginning of each month about what events are coming up and how to register. And a big thank you to our peer group leaders for 2021 who are joining us in this effort. It's going to be a really wonderful slate of offerings. And last but certainly not least, and I see some questions in the chat about this, and Kristen mentioned it again in her welcome video. The program has continued to grow because the Board of Supervisors are committed to extending opportunities in this program to community college students. We have an internal goal of trying to get 28 community college students in the program every year, and we do that by a mixture of organizations self-identifying and say, hey, we want to host a community college student, and we say, great, you're a community college college hosts. And then a couple of other organizations who receive 3 interns from us. If you receive 3 interns from us, then you're actually required to try to host a community college student. And so that's how we try to make the number. In 2020, even with everything we had going on in the pandemic, we had 24 community college students participate, which is really amazing. And what I can say in 2019, pre-pandemic, is that we had 48 community college students participating through the hard work and effort of our grantees, really working to get students in from the community colleges. I am also conducting info sessions at the community colleges to try to drum up interest in this program. And you can see there on the right, the colleges that I've been able to, the community colleges I've been able to or will be presenting to in the next couple weeks to talk to them about this program. If you needed a refresher on the screen, hopefully nobody's going, oh my goodness, this is the first time we're hearing about this, but these are community college hosts for the 2021 program. We are so grateful to these organizations for joining us in this effort. What I do want to say is that every year we have some folks who are on this list who try really, really hard to get a community college student and it just doesn't work out. That's okay. You're not going to be punished. You're not going to have the grant taken away from you. We just ask that you do your best and pour your resources into trying and your efforts into trying to recruit from the community colleges. Because outside of this list, we will have organizations who are not on this list who will hire from the community colleges anyway. And that's really exciting and really wonderful. And we're happy for that. So again, a big thank you to these community colleges, community college hosts for joining us in this effort. And we have a lot of really excited community college students. I can just tell you that from the virtual info sessions that I've conducted. So I'm not going to go through this slide. It's just kind of a recap of what we've just discussed. But ultimately, where we're at right now is if your position launched in April, on April 1st, you are able to begin recruitment. Everybody should be invoicing for 90% through SurveyMonkey Apply. You should have received those instructions when you received your executed contract. Like I said, we're hovering at about 50% right now. So 50% of organizations still need to go in and submit that invoice. So please go ahead and do that through SurveyMonkey Apply. May 31st is really when the ball starts rolling and interns will be able to begin work. And I will continue to post positions at the first of the month between now and August. Okay, so that's where we are at. And I'm going to be sending this presentation out to everybody. So no need to frantically jot down information if you missed it. All right, I am 1 minute behind my my time. So I am going to jump into the chat here for questions. And thank you all so much for just introducing yourself. It's so cool to see the new organizations that are joining us. Thank you for joining us. So great to see our returning orgs that are coming back from previous years. It's a joy. Okay, so first question here. We face a challenge with posting on community college job boards. We found out that UC and Cal States really promote their job boards, but the local community colleges don't seem to do so as much. We receive more applications from UCs than anywhere else because they promote on their job boards. What do you recommend to get more community college applicants? Great question. So what you are witnessing, which is probably no surprise to anybody, is that the community colleges are resourced very differently than our friends at the UCs and the CSUs. And that's actually looks very different even intra-community colleges. So for example, I work closely with both Santa Monica and PCC. Those are Pasadena City College. Those are private community colleges that have a lot more resources. So they actually do have really robust job supports. Actually, Pasadena City College has one of the most robust internship and like college and career departments or career departments of like any institution that I've seen. So shout out to them. And then unfortunately, some of the others, specifically the community colleges within the LA Community College District, they're just not resourced as well. And so it's not necessarily that they don't want to post on jobs boards, but a lot of it comes down to who is going to do it, so on and so forth. Your number one resource for recruiting students from the community colleges are other students from the community colleges. So if you know people that have friends or family or relatives that are at the community colleges, even if they don't necessarily want to participate themselves, maybe they know somebody who can who is interested or who can kind of blast some of that information out. So again, this is really kind of on the ground. I would not be you know, I would not hold out too much hope for job boards or job postings. It's really got to be a little bit more organic than that, specifically for the community colleges. And a lot of times that's because we see students from the community colleges feeling like this program is really not for them. And so that kind of more direct communication as possible, where possible, is best. Okay, I see a couple of COVID specific questions in the chat, and so like specifically City of Southgate, like connect with me offline, please, because a lot of these are very specific to your individual, like municipalities. There's going to be a whole other conversation, so please connect with me offline. As I mentioned, when we have guidance, I don't want to say things on this chat or on this Zoom that are not in alignment with Department of Public Health protocols. So as of right now, the directive is that the internships are to be virtual. In the event that that changes, we will be issuing guidance to all grantees about how to do that. We're not at that place yet. So if you have individual questions, please feel free to email me and connect with me about that offline. Okay, do we need to track intern hours in a specific way? No, you don't. That is your own protocol, but you do need to track them. And what I will say is that if there's a discrepancy between the intern and the supervisor, meaning that an intern comes to me and says, Martin, I'm being told that I only have 10 hours of my internship left, but I think I have 100 hours left, we're going to ask the organization to produce, you know, time card records or pay stubs that show the amount of hours so that we can help resolve the issue. So it's up to you all how you track those hours, but they do need to be tracked. So please make sure that you do that. Okay, another question. Can we have the internship selection form SurveyMonkey apply list of questions? You can go into SurveyMonkey apply at any time and check out the form even without submitting it. So go right ahead and do that. Okay, second question, if an intern starts in June but not enrolled in school till fall 2021, are they eligible? Yes, as I mentioned earlier, fall 2021 is one of the semesters that it makes them eligible. And then last question, can an intern, for example, work 40 hours a week for the first 6 weeks and then 20 hours a week for the rest of the internship? Yes, as I mentioned, any changes to the internship schedule and hours are fine, but it needs to be agreed upon between the organization and the intern. And again, just suggestion here, put it on the internship organization agreement form. That is can act as a contract between you and your intern. So if it's that they're working 40 hours a week for 6 weeks and then they're going to be dropping in September, then document that so that everybody is clear about what's happening and you have that in black and white. How changeable is the intern job position on the website? All position edits were due to me at the end of February. So the answer to that question is it depends on how the circumstance. So please email me to make sure that and to try to figure out what we can do to change that. But again, all position edits were due at the end of February. And so my capacity to make some of those edits is a little difficult at this time. Okay, next question. I do not see this organization's listed on the website. When did you say you will be listing additional opportunities? Thank you for this. I'm gonna say it one more time. As part of your application, your organization determined when your position was going to be posted to the website. We had a number of organizations, lots of organizations that either missed that section or misunderstood it or have forgotten what they had said back in October. If you're unclear about when your position is going to be going live on our website, go to your application in SurveyMonkey Apply and look at which date you selected. If it's not on the website as of now, it's because you picked a later date than April 1st to have your position posted. So please look at your application to get that information together. What if an intern leaves school in the middle of an internship? Leave school is a little ambiguous. I mean, we don't really get into the minutia with folks. So we're looking for proof of enrollment at the time of application. What happens after that, you know, we'll kind of have to go from there, but, you know, work with us. I think many folks who have been in this program for a while, I hope you would agree that we, as the internship staff, try really hard to be flexible and understanding. We know that working with young people can be a little all over the place sometimes. So if something comes up, reach out to me. What we want to avoid happening are organizations kind of moving of their own accord, and then an intern gets upset or an intern feels like the things that they were promised were not made available to them, and then there's an issue later on. So if something comes up, reach out to me. We're happy to work with you all, and we will do the best that we can to work with you and try to make the internship as successful as possible. Can we do a half virtual internship with some on-site hours? Is it mandatory that all hours have to be remote? I'm going to repeat myself one more time. As of this time, the directive is that the internships are remote. In the event that it becomes safe for interns to be brought on site, we will issue guidance about how to do that. We are not at that point yet. So again, the directive is that the interns are virtual. In the event that it becomes safe to bring interns on site, we will provide guidance for how to do that and how to do that safely. We are not at that point yet. So thank you in advance for your flexibility with that. Again, I don't want to be getting out in front of Department of Public Health, and there are 144 different organizations with 144 different circumstances and vaccination schedules and COVID protocols. So blanket, statements are not service to anybody. Once we have guidance around how to issue a guidance around how to bring interns on site safely, we will do that. Can we post our organization? Can we post this on our organization's website and link the LACDAC website to apply? Yes, please post it on your website, post it on your social media, post it on your job. If you have your own job boards, send it in your email newsletters. You can do all of those tools that are at your disposal. You can use them for recruitment as long as you wait until your position is posted on our website. And I just want to be clear, that's an equity piece for us. If we have organizations that say we want to launch our position on May 3rd, but for the entire month of April, you're already recruiting, that's not equitable. That's not fair to a student who doesn't know your organization, who doesn't really know about this program, that other people are getting access to your internship before it goes live on our website. So that's why we're very strict about it. Is for us, it's about fairness and equity and making sure that when your position goes live on our website, everybody has equal access to applying. So it's very important that you wait until your position goes live on our website. If we receive an application from a current or former intern through a different program, is that a viable candidate? Yes, as long as they're not an intern through our program, then and they've never been an intern through our program, then that is fine. Can they be hired as independent contractors? You need to follow AB5 protocols when it comes to this. So if your organization and the internship that you've created falls under the provisions as laid out by AB5, then you will need to bring them on as a full-time employee. If you, through the AB5 requirement, can bring the intern on as an independent contractor, then that's fine. But we ask that you explain to the intern what it means to be an internship, an independent contractor, and what they can expect in terms of tax information. And so please make sure that that is clear to them. Oh my goodness, somebody is receiving applicants from Canada. So our website is very clear about what the eligibility is. Again, maybe there's a COVID situation. I don't know, maybe they're they're based in Canada, but they go to school in LA County. Again, obviously there's work permit issues that would then need to be figured out, and work visas. So yes, our website is very clear that you need to be a resident of or go to school in LA County. What I'm just going to venture a guess here is that sometimes our job postings end up on other job boards, and that's when things get really loopy. And so, we will handle LA CultureNet and all of those things. Just kind of focus on your posting on your website and things like that. And we will handle all of the other job boards. Okay, in the interest of time, those are all the questions that I'm going to be able to answer today. Thank you for those great questions. So now what we're going to do is we're going to have everybody move over to the Getty Zoom. I'm going to drop this link in the chat. If you have it as part of your email, we sent it as part of the final logistics for today. What's going to happen though is when you click into this link, you're going to be kicked out of this Zoom. Obviously, you can only be in one Zoom at a time. So if you have any additional questions that you need to get answered, please email me and I'd be happy to answer that. And I will see you all over in the Getty Zoom in a couple of minutes to join them there. So here's the link in the chat. Again, you should have had this in your email as well. You might need to click a link at the bottom that says join in progress Zoom. So please feel free to do that. And we will see you over in the Getty Zoom in just a couple of minutes. Thank you, everybody.